Hi everybody, it's Cindy the Scrapologist, and I'm experimenting with different styles of book covers today, different junk journal covers or mini album covers. And so I thought I would just show you a few quick tips on some of the things I'm working on today. It might give you some ideas of things that you would enjoy doing. So what I'm doing right now is I want to show you how I made this cover. This is an old book from the 1800s that was just completely thrashed. Even the edges are all worn, but I really liked the debossed image on the back of the cover. And so what I decided to do, actually, this was my mother's idea, which I thought was fantastic, is I decided to paint it. And what a good idea. I think that that looks fabulous. So it just brought it from this to this. Absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to show you how I do that in a minute. This is just a typical cotton and chipboard spine that you can find YouTube videos all day long on these with the jump ring. And I stained it to make it look vintage, and I've stained some cheesecloth, and we've got some cheesecloth there. And then I'm continuing to experiment with the heat and bond. That I did a previous video on that, and I'm still really liking it. So I heat bonded some fabric to the inside. So let me just show you, well, first let me show you, so in terms of the heat and bond, that's also how I adhered this fabric to the spine and the covers. So I'm really liking it a lot better than glue. It's not as messy. It doesn't, if you don't want that, that, well, like here's a piece. Here's a piece that of the same cotton fabric with Mod Podge on it, and I don't know if you can hear that. It just makes it more stiff. And it does hold the ink better if you want a darker color. I was experimenting with different colors. But I didn't want that stiffness on my spine. I wanted to keep it a nice soft cloth. So the heat and bond, this stuff, works fabulous for this. I'm really happy with it. I showed another video where I experimented with it with canvas, and I made this cover, and it's staying on there really nicely with the heat and bond. And I experimented a little with this one yesterday with having embossed chipboard under the cotton fabric, and I used the heat and bond, and I did a ribbed spine as well. And I probably wouldn't recommend heat and bond for when you have embossed images, because what I had to do is, luckily my mother has a little tiny mini craft iron. It's literally like this big. Look at my fingers. Dirty. And so I was able to get into all of these little corners, but you have to put the heat and bond down, you have to be able to heat it with an iron. And with a regular iron, it's really hard to get in all these little areas. So I would probably recommend glue for if you're going to have embossed images, but I'm really happy with the way this came out. It's a beautiful cover. It's going to make a nice journal. So when Mom suggested that I paint in the debossed image, I didn't really have any paint, and so I had to really go through my stash and see what I have. And what I came up with was, I do have some of this Tim Holtz Distress Stain, which this one is tarnished brass. And I do have a whole bunch of these. I wonder if this is gonna, coloring tool brushes, and these are kind of like a Q-tip end, and when you're done you cut it down and you can cut it back into another point. So what I did was to make it look like this is I just took my distress stain, and it's got the dauber on the top, so I just kind of did this a little bit to get it going, get some ink into the pad or stain into the pad, and then I'm just using this little brush and painting it in. And I think that it's looking just beautiful. See, 2 heads are better than 1. I went and showed this to Mom, and she said, "Oh, you need to paint inside that image." I said, "You know, you are right." That's why we make a good team, she and I. So it's as easy as that. Obviously, you can use whatever tools you have on hand. If you have a paint pen, use a paintbrush, paint, whatever you want to use. But it's really fun and relaxing actually to paint in these debossed images, and I think that it really makes it look gorgeous. When I'm finished with painting both sides, I think I'm going to put some corners on, because the corners of the book are pretty thrashed. I personally like that, but I might neaten them up a little bit. I'm going to put something on the jump ring, and I'm going to put something that says journal on the front, and then on the inside it's going to be plain coffee stained papers and some old vintage papers, and I'm going to put this in my Etsy shop when I'm done with it. So, oops, I got the distress stain on my table here. And this is the spine that was on here that's so thrashed. And there was a part of me that was thinking, well, maybe I'll kind of glue that on here. But I didn't like the look of it, so what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to make a bookmark out of this, and then it will be inside the journal. So I just wanted to share that little tip with you today from my mom to you. And my little heat and bond tips, some of the covers I've been working on. Here's another one, and there was one more here. I did one with a more of a brightly colored fabric. This one was with heat and bond too. So I have a lot of covers. I just need to start filling these with goodies and getting them into my shop. But I wanted to share this little tip with you, and I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to click the little bell down below so that you don't miss any of my videos. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.